Fourth, why don't you tell us what exactly female genital mutilation is?
It's a horrific practice that happens to little girls when they are babies, and usually around 6 or 7 years old until they are about 15. But during that age range, it can happen. And so what happens is that you have a circumciser who cuts off the apparent part of the clitoris. So, of course, it is a practice that is very, very, very painful. You know, the clitoris is the part of the body that has the most nerve endings of all the body. Even a penis doesn't have as many nerve endings. So you can imagine that when somebody cuts off this part, maybe with a razor or with a broken glass, you know, how much pain this little girl must be, must be going through. So this is what female genital mutilation is about. And when those little girls reach the age of puberty, and when they get married, of course they realize a part of themselves is missing. And not only that, but intercourse is very painful. So this is something that has to, of course, end. And we're working for that. But at the same time, those women that have already been affected, somebody has to do something about it. So that's where we come in.
You've touched on a few things there, but first, can you take us through what women who have had this circumcision or their genitals mutilated experience on a day-to-day basis?
They experience pain, and if they don't experience pain, they don't experience any sexual pleasure. And sexuality is an inherent part of a human body, of a person. And not feeling that creates some imbalances in a person's life. The husband may reject them, their boyfriend may reject them, and themselves, they are not feeling themselves completed. They are not feeling whole and complete. So these are all these physical and psychological effects that they feel on a daily basis.
Okay, and I think the obvious next question is, why is this done to young girls?
Oh, there is only one reason, and it's subdue women and to make sure that these ladies are faithful. And, when you have had your genitals mutilated that way, you often don't feel like running around, and so they are sure that those women will be very faithful. But, it's just crazy. This is like cutting, the tendon off of a slave's leg so that he is not going to run away. This is not how, human beings are, human beings are free and women are free. So, this has to change. It is changing slowly. But once again, we have these 125 million women who are affected, who hate their body, and who would like the change to take place now.
It seems like female genital mutilation has been in the news a lot lately. Is this a growing problem in Africa?
A growing problem? I wouldn't say that. I think it's a receding problem. It used to be 150 million that were victims, and now the World Health Organization is speaking about 125 million. So I think it's a receding problem, but it still needs to be addressed because it's still a large number. So.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has recently said that education is at the center of fighting female genital mutilation. How can we educate our societies on this issue?
So, of course, the United Nations is very good at making people aware of the horrible consequences of genital mutilation, and one of them is death, because when you cut a little girl, she may bleed to death, or she may be infected and may not be able to recover. So, and it happens to 9% of the little girls. This is not a small percentage. So of course they need to be informed, educated about this, the dangers of doing this practice. But for Clitoraid, the sort of education that we want to give is to make women's sexuality something positive, something noble, and that's something that is inherent to a human being, to a woman. A male sexuality is usually something very good, something positive in society, but women's sexuality, women's sexual pleasure is often shunned upon. And so we want to change this around that, and when we repair women, with the surgery, we also give them sexual therapy so that they can start to think positively about sexuality, about sexual pleasure, so that they change their mind about it. So guilt, can be removed from the equation. And where does guilt come from? Guilt comes from usually, traditional religions with which we are raised with, and they give women a lot of taboos about their sexuality. And all of this is part of re-educating the society. There are things that are good about religion, there are things that are not so good. And this is why us as Raelians, we are from a philosophy called the Raelian movement. And for us, sexuality is something very positive and something very noble, something very good for the brain and for the body.